revealed the incredible story of a cleaning woman who inspired a millionaire at a luxury event. Maria wiped the sweat from her brow as she navigated the high-end gala, her heart racing amidst the shimmering chandeliers and laughter that filled the air. She had always dreamed of a life beyond scrubbing floors, a chance for her teenage son, Alex, to reach for college dreams. Leaning down to clean a spilled drink, she felt an urgency surging in her chest, knowing that their lease was running out and fear of the unknown pressed against her every moment. As she straightened up, the glitz of the event felt like a world away, yet something magnetic drew her closer. Across the grand hall, wealthy socialites feasted on delicacies, their laughter echoing through the room, while Jack, a millionaire dreading the emptiness of success, contemplated his future. He sat, clenching a glass of expensive champagne, feeling trapped by the suffocating expectations of wealth. Reflecting on his late father, a man who instilled values of humility, Jack's thoughts drifted toward the memories of his father's service, the sacrifices made for a better future. Suddenly, a colorful movement caught his eye. It was Maria, dazzlingly out of place yet immensely grounded. In a moment that seemed straight from a movie, Maria stumbled upon a family photograph tucked near the floorboards, a snapshot of Jack's father in his military uniform, a symbol of grit and resilience. It was their worlds colliding, the photograph eliciting memories that Jack couldn't shake. Maria kept cleaning, her heart imbued with purpose, unaware of the profound connection this discovery had created. The room buzzed around her, the whispers of judgment from whispers of disdain swirling as the gaudy luxury pressed in on her. But just like any hard-working mother, Maria wouldn't buckle. She felt the weight of her determination, and the hope of a better tomorrow shimmer through her. In those moments, her son Alex's face flashed in her mind, a bright teen with dreams that soared higher than the sky above Chicago. As she wiped away the dirt of the past, she understood. Her struggle was not just for survival, it was for Alex's future. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With the echo of Alex's voice in her heart, she didn't flinch when faceless gazes fell on her. Meanwhile, Jack watched her with curiosity, feeling drawn to the warmth within her spirit. He saw something genuine hidden behind her role. She was much more than a cleaning woman, she was a soldier of hope and resilience. At that very moment, a flicker of connection ignited between them, pulling him towards a path of introspection. Seeking repurposed meaning, Jack found himself on a precipice. Alex's words, shared in a late-night conversation, reminded him that worth is rooted in dignity, not dollars. Their words echoed in his mind. Would he step into a role of change, embracing his power to uplift, or let fear chain him to the past? As Maria finished for the night, the stakes of their lives intertwined, her fierce belief that her son could rise above, while Jack wrestled with newfound purpose. What shadows from Maria's past could reshape Jack's privileged world? The gala, filled with sparkles and glimmers, became the silent witness of their impending transformation, leaving them both at a crossroads. Would they continue to rise together, or would they falter in their respective journeys? The night held its breath, the air thick with unresolved questions, setting the stage for what lay ahead. The air was electric as Maria wrapped up her final tasks at the gala, each chore a step closer to her dreams. She couldn't shake the feeling that tonight would change something, though she couldn't quite put her finger on it. As she packed her cleaning supplies, a soft voice broke her concentration. "Excuse me." It was Jack, standing hesitantly by the bar, his champagne glass forgotten in his hand. He looked out of place yet undeniably intrigued. Maria's heart skipped a beat. "Yes?" she replied, trying to mask her surprise. She was used to faded faces and low whispers, not striking encounters with millionaires. "I noticed you earlier. You seem different from everyone else here," he said, his gaze earnest. "You bring this light. I wanted to thank you for that." Light? It felt strange yet validating. Maria straightened, brushed her hair back, and smiled. "Thank you. Just doing my job." "Yeah, but you do it with a passion that stands out." "I feel like most people here have forgotten what it means to hustle," he said, glancing around the lavish surroundings, his frustration evident. She appreciated his words, but doubt trickled in. "It's not glamorous, what we do. It's just life." Jack shook his head. "It's everything. Life is in the struggle, isn't it? It's what shapes us." A spark of recognition flickered between them. In that moment, Maria felt a weight lift. Perhaps her work meant more than just survival. Jack leaned in closer, his brows furrowing. "I'm stuck in this bubble of privilege, and sometimes it suffocates me. I want to do better, see beyond the surface. Maybe even help people like you, those who fight so hard." Maria's heart tightened. For all his wealth, he seemed lost. "But how do you help people?" "You can only do so much." "I know," he admitted. "But maybe understanding someone's story is the first step." "Yours what drives you?" She hesitated, her thoughts drifting to Alex, his bright eyes and unyielding spirit. "I dream of a better life for my son, a chance for college, for him to see the world differently." Jack listened intently, his expression softening. "And what does he want?" "To be something greater than himself. Like a lot of young people," she added, feeling a swell of pride. "Maybe I can help him," Jack blurted out before he could stop himself. The words hung in the air, unexpected and loaded with possibility. Maria's heart raced. "How?" Jack paused, his voice lowering. "I could provide a scholarship if he is willing to work for it." The offer felt unreal. For a moment, hope flickered brightly in her chest. Could Alex really have a future beyond the confines of their cramped apartment? "But why me?" "Once I saw you tonight," Jack said, deciding on his words carefully, "I realized there is something inspiring about your drive. It reminded me of my father. He believed in lifting others." Maria's expression hardened slightly. "And don't forget the other side. You can't just fix everything with money. It's about the connection. I know it won't be easy, but I want to try." His sincerity washed over her like a warm wave. As they stood amidst the remnants of the gala, uncertainty loomed heavy between them, but a path was beginning to form. Maria took a deep breath, balancing doubt with something richer. The allure of new beginnings mingled with the taste of fear. "What if we both try to lift each other then?" she asked softly, sensing the weight of a budding partnership. Jack nodded, a smile breaking through. "I do like that." In that instant, the world outside the gala felt less daunting. But if the past had taught them anything, it was that challenges awaited at every turn. Maria couldn't shake the gnawing feeling that Jack's connection to her life might open more doors than either of them anticipated. What other surprises lay buried in the shadows of their lives? What secrets still lingered in Jack's heart that could reshape their stories? As the echo of voices faded in the background, Maria felt they were poised on the edge of something monumental, and the night felt alive with potential. The bright lights of the gala dimmed as the evening waned, but Maria felt a flicker of energy within her. It wasn't just the adrenaline of having a meaningful conversation. It was hope blooming in a place she thought was reserved for the privileged. She glanced at Jack, who still stood by her side, his expression a mix of eagerness and uncertainty. "Okay," she said, taking a step back from the moment. "Let us lay all our cards on the table. A scholarship sounds amazing, but I can't let Alex get his hopes up if it's not a solid opportunity. You understand that, right? Jack nodded, his brow furrowing slightly. I do, and I promise it's real, but it has to come with hard work. Nothing is handed out without a struggle. I'd want Alex to take part in community service, or some sort of mentorship, something that connects him to others like him. Maria chuckled softly. That still sounds a lot like a handout to me. Not if it's earned, he countered, his tone insistent yet gentle. I want him to learn that nothing worthwhile comes easy. He needs to know he has to fight for his place, just like you do, just like I am trying to. His passion sent a wave of emotion through her, wrapping around her heart like a shield. They were standing on precarious ground, both unsure of what lay ahead but hopeful nonetheless. Okay, Maria conceded after a moment's hesitation. Let me bring him into this conversation. I'll talk to Alex tonight and see what he thinks about this opportunity. He might just surprise you. A warmth bloomed in Jack's eyes as he smiled, and for the first time, he looked less like a millionaire and more like a kindred spirit. Thank you, Maria. I really appreciate this, he said, sincere and earnest, drawing closer yet again. She felt the weight of the moment. In her heart, she understood they were both stepping into unknown territory, and that reality filled her with butterflies. But lurking beneath was fear, the fear that this connection might crumble under the weight of their different worlds. Just then, a loud crash broke through her thoughts. A server had stumbled, sending a cascade of glasses tumbling to the floor. The chaotic sound jolted them back to the present, pulling them from their intimacy. Jack moved instinctively, rushing to help the server reassemble the shattered pieces with surprising grace. Maria watched him, her heart swelling with admiration. She knew he didn't need to do that, he was above the fray, but there he was, diving into the mess just like she did for her job every day. Sometimes, you just have to roll up your sleeves, he said jokingly, as they both cleaned up the fragments, a new connection forged in the throes of chaos. They stood together again once it was done, the sound of laughter and music enveloping them. What will this mean for us? Maria asked, uncertainty creeping in again, leaving her vulnerable. Jack met her gaze, his eyes steady. This could be the start of something. But we have to be honest with each other, and with ourselves. That's the only way this will work. She nodded, feeling the stakes heighten. Trust wouldn't be easy. It was a fragile structure built on the stories of their lives. But this partnership felt like it was worth the risk. As the evening stretched on, and the gala continued around them, Maria couldn't shake the feeling that their lives had already begun to intertwine. But just as she began to feel secure in her hopes, she caught a glimpse of a familiar figure across the room. It was her ex-husband, a dark shadow in the flickering light. Her heart raced, memories crashing in like waves, memories filled with pain and confusion. Would he recognize her? What did he want? And what would this mean for her and Jack? The night had shifted into uncharted waters, and Maria braced herself for the storm ahead. What would her ex bring into this fragile new partnership? Would their past overshadow the future she was trying to carve out for Alex and herself? Maria's breath hitched as visions of her past swirled in her mind. She tightened her grip on her clutch, her knuckles widening. Jack, sensing her tension, turned to follow her gaze. The moment he saw the figure, a mix of understanding and concern crossed his face. "Is that?" he began, but Maria cut him off. "It's nothing," she insisted. "Just someone from my past." But it was much more than that. Her ex-husband, Mark, embodied her darkest times, a series of bitter arguments and broken promises that left scars deeper than she'd like to acknowledge. Memories of him stormed back, reminding her of how she felt trapped once, how she'd made choices that led her to this very moment. She felt the room closing in around her, the sounds of laughter fading into the background. Jack's presence steadied her. He stood close, a comforting wall against the chaos unraveling inside her. "Stay with me. Just breathe," he encouraged softly, his voice cutting through the fog of memories. Mark began to move through the crowd, and Maria could feel a wild pulse of panic coursing through her. Every step felt like a threat, every smile from him a reminder of everything she had worked so hard to escape. What did he want now? Their eyes locked across the room, and even from a distance, she could see the familiar smirk on his face. He thrived on her discomfort. "Maria?" Jack's voice pulled her back to the moment. His gaze was steady and unflinching, offering her silent solidarity. "I can't face him." "Not now." "Not here," she whispered, her heart racing as she felt the weight of the evening pressing down on her. "You don't have to do it alone," Jack said firmly. "I'm right here. We can handle this together." She appreciated his warmth, but fear gnawed at her. What if Mark made a scene? What if he tried to stir old memories and accusations? Just then, Mark closed the distance, his eyes narrowing with unspoken intentions. "Maria," he said, a smooth condescension lacing his tone. "Fancy seeing you here. I didn't think you'd ever show up to one of these." "Don't act so surprised," she shot back, fighting instinctively to maintain her composure. "I can be where I want to be." Jack stepped slightly forward, positioning himself beside her. "Is there something you need?" he asked, a touch of menace underscoring his genial tone. Mark took a step back, clearly taken aback by the unexpected solidarity. "No need for hostility, Jack. I'm just having a catch-up with an old friend," he replied, but Maria heard the challenge in his voice. Her heart hammered harder, and she took a deep breath, aware of the fragile ground they were stepping on, an intersection of past and present. She loved that Jack stood by her, but the anxiety was a knot in her stomach. What would this confrontation do to her hopes for a partnership with him? "Leave her out of this," Jack asserted, eyes steely protective. Mark's smirk faltered. He was not one to enjoy being cornered. "You should be careful, Jack. People like her don't really change. Just a cleaning woman remembers her place." A surge of anger swept through Maria. No one had the right to diminish her worth. She stepped forward, her voice firm. "I'm not just a cleaning woman. I'm a mother. And I'm building a future for my son." Jack glanced at Maria, admiration flashing in his eyes. The heat of her words caught Mark off guard, and for a moment, it felt like the balance of power shifted. "Let us go," she said to Jack, feeling emboldened yet irritable. "Maria," Mark called after them, desperation creeping into his voice, but she turned away, refusing to engage further. She needed to reclaim her energy and hope after being thrust back into a reality that had haunted her for far too long. Jack stayed close, guiding her through the crowd, his presence a reminder that she was defined by her ex-husband's words. "You did well," he said quietly, squeezing her hand. But beneath that moment of relief, Maria couldn't shake the gnawing fear. Would Mark's appearance only complicate everything? As they continued away from the confrontation, Maria wondered if she could make this new partnership work, or if her past would always loom too close behind her. Jack turned to her, clearly sensing her turmoil. "What are you thinking?" She hesitated, the weight of uncertainty heavy. "I don't want the past to hold me back. But it feels like it's always lurking." Jack's expression softened. "Then let us keep moving forward together. Don't let him define your story." Yet, as they walked away, Maria feared the truth. Could they really leave the past behind? Would tomorrow bring new challenges that would threaten their fragile connection? The air felt charged as Maria and Jack stepped outside the venue, leaving the din of the party behind. The crisp night sky seemed to wrap around them, and the stars flickered with distant promises. Maria inhaled deeply, tasting freedom tinged with anxiety. How could she feel both relieved and fearful at the same time? "Do you want to walk a bit? Grab some fresh air?" Jack suggested, his tone gentle yet perceptive. "Yeah, that sounds good," she replied, grateful for this moment away from the tension. As they wandered down the street, she stole glances at him, appreciating the way he took care of her without needing to show it off. Wasn't just a distraction tonight. He felt like a shield against her memories. But even as they put some distance between themselves and Mark, doubts began to creep in. Maria had been working hard to build a new life for herself and her son, and the last thing she wanted was for her past to ruin it all. What did he mean by people like her don't change? She mused aloud, unable to hide the tremor in her voice. Jack's frown deepened. He is just trying to get under your skin. Don't give him the satisfaction, he replied firmly. You're more than what he claims you are. You've come so far. Maybe, she murmured, but that doesn't change what I went through. Tears pricked at the corners of her eyes. Every time I think I'm free, he finds a way to creep back in. Then let us shut that door, Jack said, stopping to face her. Don't let him take any more from you. You decide who gets to have a say in your life. His intensity stirred something in her, a familiar spark she hadn't felt in years. It awoke in a sense of strength, urging her to confront her fears instead of running from them. You're right. I need to take control, she asserted, her voice growing steadier. As they walked, Jack shared bits and pieces of his own life, how he started his career, the struggles he faced coming from modest beginnings. Each story added layers to his character, making him more than just a comforting presence. He was a partner in the truest sense, one who lifted her when she faltered and inspired her to stand tall. Maria's heart warmed as he talked. In his tales, she saw a reflection of her own struggles. You know, we're not so different, she observed. We've both faced hard times and fought to get where we are. Exactly, he nodded, a smile spreading across his face. It's those experiences that shape us. They give us our grit. Grit, she repeated, the word lingering in her mind. I like that. A confidence began to bubble inside her, but just as quickly, the thought of Mark reemerged, casting a shadow over the moment. Could she truly break away from the labels he tried to attach to her? Or would his taunts haunt her indefinitely? That's all behind you now, Jack said softly, sensing her hesitation. Focus on the person you are today. She leaned into his words, allowing them to settle in her heart. Thank you, Jack, she said sincerely. You have no idea how much this means to me. He took her hand, warmth radiating between them. Just remember, you're not a victim. You're a fighter. Her breath caught, and for the first time, she truly believed it. The fear that had gripped her began to loosen, letting the light of hope seep in. But just as they were basking in this new resolve, Maria's phone buzzed in her bag. She pulled it out, her heart dropping as she read the incoming message from a familiar number. Meet me where it all began, or I'll make your life hell. Her blood ran cold. What did he want now? Maria? Jack's voice broke through her panic. Before she could process her emotions, the weight of her past was back, pressing down harder than ever. How could she move forward when it seemed Mark was hell-bent on dragging her back? Jack's brow furrowed, concern flooding his features. What is it? It's Mark, she whispered, fear twisting in her gut. He wants to meet. In that moment, Maria stood at the edge of a cliff of confrontation, of resolution, of uncovering the truths she had buried deep within. Would she face him again, or walk away, determined to carve her own path? And did she have the strength to confront the ghosts of her past once and for all? Maria felt the world tilt beneath her. The message loomed over her like a storm cloud, each word a piercing reminder of the past she fought so hard to escape. Meet me where it all began. The words slithered into her mind, dragging her thoughts down with them. Jack's face tightened with concern. What is he planning? I don't know, she replied, the quiver in her voice betraying her fear. But it can't be good. He has always had a way of twisting things. We need to handle this together, he declared, his grip on her hand tightening as if to anchor her amidst the turmoil spilling over. You're not going back there alone." His words felt like a lifeline, but the thought of facing Mark again chilled her to the bone. The place they had first met was heavy with memories, some beautiful, some haunting. It was a place where hope had once flourished, before it turned to despair. "Jack, I don't want to go back there. I don't want to relive it. He'll just use it against me. You have to show him you're not that person anymore. You've come too far to let him dictate your life," he insisted, his eyes fierce. With each passing moment, Maria wrestled with her emotions. On one hand, she felt the urge to stand her ground. On the other, the familiar weight of fear pulled at her heels. What if he was right? What if she couldn't change after all? "Let us go somewhere else then," she suggested, a flicker of defiance ignited. "I don't want to give him the satisfaction of playing his game." Jack's expression softened. "I get it. But you can't run away forever. He'll always find a way to reach you, even if it's not physically." A moment of silence fell over them. The night was still, the air thick with unspoken words. Maria could feel the pulse of her heart echoing in the quiet. The thought of standing up for herself was alluring, but the stakes felt too high. What if confronting Mark only gave him more power? "Okay, but if I do this, I need you there with me," she finally said, searching his eyes for reassurance. "I can't face him alone." "Always," Jack promised, his voice steady and deep. "We'll go together. You're stronger than you think, Maria." As they stood there, the reality of her decision began to settle in. She was scared but exhilarated at the same time. This was about reclaiming her life, not just for her, but for her son too. He deserved a mother who was free from the binds of her past. "I want to do it," she said, gathering courage. "Let us meet him. I'm not going to let him win." Jack smiled, and the pride in his eyes filled her with warmth. It was a moment of awakening. She could feel the chains of her past slowly loosening. "You're gonna make him regret ever coming back into your life. I believe in you." As they began to walk again, Maria noticed the way the moonlight bathed everything in silver. It felt almost surreal, as if the universe was conspiring to guide her forward. This wasn't just about facing Mark. It was about reclaiming her narrative, rewriting her story. But as they turned the corner, a shadow flickered in the distance. The street lamp illuminated a figure, and her heart dropped. Was he waiting for her? "Maria," Jack whispered, sensing her tension heighten. "Stay close." She squeezed his hand, anxiety crawling beneath her skin. Did she really have the strength to confront her past? And what if Mark was ready for a battle of wills? As they approached, the unease coiling around her deepened. This was her moment, the crossroads of her past and future. But the uncertainty weighed heavily on her mind. What would happen when she looked him in the eyes again? Would she find the resolve she sought, or would the fear grip her tighter than ever? Maria's breath hitched as they drew nearer to the figure. Jack's presence steadied her, but her heart pounded in her chest like a drum announcing a war. She had avoided this moment for years, choosing the armor of distance to shield herself from the chaos of her past. But here it was, unfolding before her, potent and unforgiving. Mark stood under the flickering light, his casual confidence like a mask hiding something far more menacing. He had always been good at playing the role of the charmer, spinning words like a spider crafts its web. But she had learned to spot the traps, or at least she hoped she had. Well, if it isn't my favorite ghost," Mark drawled, a smirk dancing on his lips. Maria recoiled, resentment bubbling just beneath the surface. "I'm not a ghost, Mark. I'm done haunting your shadows." She surprised even herself with the strength in her words. Jack stepped up, positioning himself protectively beside her. "What do you want, Mark?" The smirk widened, but there was something unsettling in Mark's eyes, a flicker of something dark. "Isn't it obvious? I'm here to offer Maria a chance to revisit the past. You know, relive those days of glory we had together." Maria felt the anger boiling within her. There was no glory in that, Mark. It was a prison. The truth came out raw and unrefined, escaping her lips before she could reel it back in. Jack squeezed her hand, a solid reminder of the life she had built since breaking free. You don't get to redefine her story. Not anymore. Mark's laughter was hollow and filled with malice. You think you're so brave now, Maria? You think a man like Jack can protect you? You're still that scared girl from years ago. You just hide it better. Tension coiled in the air like a tightly wound spring. Maria swallowed hard, fighting the old feelings clawing their way back to the surface. She was afraid. Afraid of what he could do, and of the flickering doubts gnawing at the edge of her mind. But Jack's steady presence urged her to find the inner strength she had awakened earlier. Maybe I was scared once, she said, her voice steadying. But I'm not that person anymore. I'm a mother. I have a son who deserves better than to be haunted by your lies. His laughter staggered, and for a moment, surprise flickered in his eyes. She could see the chasm widening between who she used to be and who she was now. Motherhood? He scoffed. Is that all you have? You think that makes you strong? It's everything. It made me rise from the ashes of your betrayal, she shot back. In that moment, she felt emboldened, as if the sunlight had pierced through a fog. She saw Jack's approving nod, his faith in her fueling her courage. Mark's smile fell away, replaced with something darker. You don't know what you're dealing with. You think this little victory means you've won? I haven't even begun to play. Maria's heart sank slightly, but she refused to step back. I'm done being your pawn. Whatever you plan, it doesn't matter anymore. But doubt crept in again, whispering warnings that clawed at her resolve. She remembered how easily he manipulated her, how his presence had once unraveled her. Jack turned to her, and she saw concern etched in his features. We can walk away now. You don't need to engage any further. But something inside Maria surged. No, I need to finish this. As Mark's dark shadow loomed closer, a mixture of dread and determination flooded her veins. This wasn't just a confrontation. It was the chance to untangle the stranglehold he had on her mind for so long. Let us settle this once, and for all, Maria declared, heart racing. If she was going to reclaim her life, she needed to stand firm. But in the depths of her heart, fear flickered. Would she be able to handle whatever Mark threw at her? As silence draped between them, electric and thick, the stakes heightened. What was he truly capable of? With the tension coiling tight, Mark's eyes glinted with malice and promise. She braced for impact, aware that she was standing at the brink of her past and the uncertain future that lay ahead. Would this be the turning point she longed for, or would it drag her back into the abyss? Maria felt the air grow heavy as Jack stepped forward, his unwavering gaze locked onto Mark. The challenge hung between them, palpable and charged. She sensed the fear inside her, like a smoldering ember, but she refused to let it ignite. This was her moment, the one she had fought so hard for. Mark's smile faded, replaced by a look of irritation. You really think you can just walk away from all of this? You're underestimating the influence I still have. Influence? Or fear? Maria countered, her voice growing stronger with each word. You were never in my corner. You never had my back. I'm not that scared girl anymore, and I won't let you intimidate me. He stepped closer, invading her space, but instead of recoiling, she stood her ground. Jack shifted, his presence a fortress beside her, but Maria felt the walls of her own might begin to rise. It was as if she were shedding layers of doubt and insecurity, revealing the fierce woman she had become. Mark leaned in, his breath hot. You think you're safe because you have him? He pointed to Jack with an icy glare. You don't know the lengths I'm willing to go. Your son, Maria, what a precious little boy. I'd hate for him to lose his mother. A chill ran down her spine, but Jack's grip remained firm on her hand. "You're out of line, Mark. Stop using her any way you can. She is not afraid of you anymore, and neither am I." Maria's stomach twisted with anger. "You don't get to use my son as a weapon. He is not a bargaining chip in your petty games." Mark recoiled slightly, his bravado faltering, and in that moment, Maria felt a rush of victory. She was no longer allowing him to dictate the terms of her fear. She was in control. "I've made my choices. I've rebuilt my life," Maria pressed. "You can't touch that. I have a family that strengthens me, a life that transcends your past. Your shadows no longer linger over me." Mark's expression darkened, the facade of charm cracking. "You think you can just cut ties that easily? I'll always be a part of your history. You can't erase who you are." She felt the truth of that, but it didn't anchor her as it once would have. Instead, it became fuel. She had fought against the past and emerged stronger. "I can't change history, but I can dictate my future. I'm not running anymore." "Interesting," he mused, his voice suddenly calm, a serpent coiling back. "But you'll soon see how little control you actually have." Tension thickened, wrapping around them like a smoke screen, and in the periphery, she watched bystanders peer at the escalating scene. Curiosity danced in uncertain eyes. Jack leaned closer to Maria, his tone urgent only for her. "What is he getting at?" "We should leave. Now." Her heart raced, not with fear anymore, but with anticipation. "No. I want to give him the satisfaction. If he has something to say, let him say it." Mark chuckled softly, a cruel twist of the lips. "Very well, let us play this game. Just remember, every choice has consequences. You may think you're untouchable," but suddenly, his words were cut off as a flash flood of the past rushed into her mind. The nightmares, the hurt, the strength she had found in her son. Her heartbeat synced with clarity. "You can't threaten me. My life is worth fighting for. My son is not your tool. You've lost." But in those words, Maria still felt the shadows slinking around her edges, a small reminder of that past lurking just beyond her grasp. "What will you do next, Mark?" Jack interrupted, forcing the tension back to the room. "Are you here to fight, or just talk? We can walk away from this now." Mark's gaze sharpened, a predatory gleam in his eye. "This isn't over. You may think you've won today, but I'll be watching." A shiver raced through her as Mark stepped back, the shadows retreating as he melted into the night, leaving only the weight of his thread hanging thick in the air. Maria took a deep breath, feeling the adrenaline seeping away. Jack shifted beside her, the warmth of his hand reassuring. "You handled that beautifully, Maria," he said, pride shining in his eyes. "Did I?" She looked up, still feeling the tremors of uncertainty. "Was it enough?" "Maybe," he replied, the air between them shifting. "But what about tomorrow? What if he comes back?" In that moment, she understood this wasn't just a fight one. It was a battle beginning. The war inside her still raged, and with Mark lurking in the shadows, the confrontation was far from over. As they moved away from the flickering light and into the embrace of the night, Maria knew she'd have to prepare for whatever Mark had planned next. He had hinted at more than just words, and she sensed that the real challenge lay ahead. What other demons from her past would emerge when she least expected it? The quiet of the night was a sharp contrast to the storm battering inside Maria's mind. Jack led her down the sidewalk, his hand still holding hers like a lifeline. She could feel the cool breeze cooling the heat on her cheeks, but nothing could shake the weight of Mark's last words. Anxiety pulsed through her, the kind that made everything feel a touch unreal. "Do you think he really meant it?" Maria's voice trembled slightly, betraying her resolve as she glanced back over her shoulder, half expecting to see Mark's silhouette lurking in the dark. Jack frowned, pulling her closer. It doesn't matter, Maria. You've shown him you won't be intimidated. That is what counts. We'll figure out the rest. His reassurance felt good, yet she needed more. But what if he is telling the truth? What if he comes for us? Or worse, what if he tries to hurt Alex? Jack's expression hardened, taking on a protective fierceness. He won't. I won't let him. We just have to stay vigilant. With what? With what we have now. Her frustration bubbled over. I can't keep looking over my shoulder. I want my life back. I want to enjoy every moment with my son without fear. Then we'll do just that, Jack said fiercely. We'll put everything in place to keep you safe. I'll talk to some people, get more eyes on you. You won't be alone. Maria nodded slowly, grateful for his fierce loyalty. I just need to be sure he can't touch us anymore, that the past doesn't keep creeping in. As they approached the corner cafe, a familiar bell jingled above them, and the comforting aroma of fresh coffee wafted outside. Let us take a breath, Jack suggested, glancing toward the warm lights inside. We can talk things through. You can't overthink this alone. Inside, the cafe was almost empty, the quiet hum of whispers mingling with the gentle clinking of cups. They settled into a corner booth, and as Maria wrapped her hands around a steaming mug, the warmth seeped into her fingertips and gave her a moment of respite. I never thought I'd have to face him like that, she confessed, staring into the swirling steam. He has always been shadows and whispers in my mind. I thought what? Jack prompted softly, leaning in. Maybe that he'd just fade, like a bad dream you wake up from. But he is still here, still reaching for me. Jack's hand found her shoulder, squeezing reassuringly. You're stronger than you know. When you stood up to him, I saw it. You fought back for the first time. That battle in yourself is the one that really matters. Her eyes glistened with unshed tears. But what if all of this bravery crumbles? What if I can't do this? You can. Not alone. He paused, searching her gaze. You have me. And if it gets worse, we will find a way. Together. Deep down, she felt a flicker of hope warming her heart. Together. The word hung between them, amplifying a bond that promised safety and support. Maria? She looked up. Yeah. I don't want to be just your shoulder to lean on. I want to be in this fight with you, even if that means facing Mark together. A surge of emotion rolled through her. Could she really allow someone in, share the weight of her fears and past like that? But the thought of sheltering herself again seemed suffocating. I don't know. Jack's gaze softened, unwavering. You deserve more than just to survive. You deserve to thrive without looking over your shoulder. His words spread warmth inside her, fanning the flame of strength she had just started to discover. As they finished their drinks, a low hum of conversation surrounded them. But the world felt lighter, more bearable. It wasn't just the promise of love and partnership. It was the subtle realization that she had the power to face whatever lay ahead. Thank you, Jack, she breathed, her heart swelling with gratitude. But just as the future seemed a tad less daunting, her phone buzzed. With shaking hands, she picked it up. A text from an unknown number flashed across the screen. I warned you, Maria. You've made a mistake. Maria's breath hitched, the shadows from her past creeping into her present. Once again. Jack, she whispered, the weight of dread washing over her. It's not over, is it? The question hung in the air, heavy as the realization that more confrontations awaited them. The fight for her freedom had ignited, but could she stay standing against what lay ahead? Maria felt the walls closing in around her, as her pulse quickened. It's not over, she whispered again, trying to wrap her head around the implications of the message. The veiled threat sent chills up her spine. She looked at Jack, her eyes wide, heart racing. I won't let him intimidate you, he said firmly, his voice a mixture of concern and determination. But we need to be smart about it. This is serious. She nodded, but inside, she battled with uncertainty. The shadows of her past weren't something she could simply shake off. Mark's presence continuously cast a pall over the new life she worked so hard to build. I want to fight back, Jack, she admitted, her fear blending with a fierce resolve. But how do I do that without putting Alex in harm's way? First, you need to connect with a lawyer. Someone who can help you with a restraining order, maybe even a protection plan. If he knows you mean business, he might back off, Jack suggested, his practical nature shining through the haze of her fears. There is also the chance he won't comply, Maria replied, gnawing on her bottom lip. He is stubborn. He won't let me go without a fight. Then we'll prepare for that. Jack leaned in closer. We can work together to revive your strength, remind you who you are and what you fought for. This won't define you. Maria drew a deep breath, allowing his encouragement to seep into her. But Alex, she began, the concern for her son's safety making her voice falter. I'll help you protect him, Jack replied, his grip on her hand tightening. We can work out a safety plan. And if it gets out of hand, we will do what we need to do. You're not alone in this. I'll make sure both of you are safe. Maria took a moment to absorb his words. Jack had grown into a true ally, someone willing to fight beside her against the specter of her past. The thought of not carrying this weight alone filled her with a flicker of hope. You really mean that? She asked, searching his gaze. Absolutely. You deserve that chance. You deserve to move forward. And I want to be part of that journey. He leaned in, his sincerity wrapped around her like a safety net. There were too many layers yet to unravel a past that still haunted her, but standing beside Jack felt both reassuring and invigorating. Just then, she gathered herself and pulled out her phone, opening her texts to delete the ominous message. I won't let him taunt me. Nothing will drag me back, she declared. Each word was laced with purpose. As she pressed delete, a weight began to lift. The shadows started to recede. But the door to the cafe swung open just then, and a gust of wind tangled with the air. Maria's breath caught as she turned to see a familiar figure step inside. Her heart dropped, the color draining from her face. It was Mark. Without a moment to prepare, she felt Jack's presence immediately resurge beside her, fierce and protective. Stay calm, he whispered, his solidity grounding her. Mark approached with an attitude that screamed confidence, his eyes locking onto Maria as he sauntered over. Thought you could just move on, huh? He taunted, his tone laced with venom. We need to talk. Talk? Maria challenged, fighting to keep her voice steady. You've said enough. Jack stepped ahead, positioning himself firmly between Mark and Maria, a protective barrier. She doesn't want to hear anything from you, he said sharply, his tone like steel. Is that right? Mark's eyes flicked between them, narrowing. You must be the new boyfriend. How cute. His sarcastic grin only deepened her anger. Don't engage, Maria, Jack advised, glancing back at her with a fierce determination that gave her strength. Let us get out of here. I'm not going anywhere with you, Maria said defiantly, her resolve shining through. The old fear tried to creep back, but it was met by her newfound strength. I will not be intimidated by you anymore. Mark's expression faltered briefly, his mask slipping for just a moment. You're making a mistake, Maria. You think you're empowered now? His amusement twisted into something darker. You have no idea what I'm capable of. The air felt electric as Maria squared her shoulders and looked him straight in the eyes. No, you don't understand. I am stronger than you will ever be, and I will never again shrink back into the shadows. With those words, she felt the truth resonate deep within her, a roaring fire igniting in her chest. Mark stepped closer, but Jack pushed back, asserting his presence with a calm that steadied Maria. We won't let you turn her life into a nightmare again. This ends now, Jack said resolutely, making it clear that they were standing strong together. Mark took a half step back, considering their united front. Frustration twisted his features. "You think you can keep her safe forever?" he challenged, his voice dripping with scorn. "I don't think I know," Maria countered, her voice unwavering. "And I love my son too much to let you control our lives anymore." The silence that followed was heavy but liberating. Mark's bravado crumbled slightly, revealing the ugly truth of his desperation. It was a power struggle he no longer controlled. "Should V known you wouldn't he easily back down. You'll regret this," he spat before turning sharply and striding towards the door. As the bell jingled in his wake, Maria felt a rush of relief wash over her, as if a dam had broken. "Did you see that?" she gasped, the adrenaline pounding in her veins. "I stood up to him." Jack's smile illuminated the dim cafe. "You did, and you were incredible." He pulled her into a hug, and she melted into his embrace, the warmth radiating through her. "Thank you for being here," she murmured against his shoulder. There was so much more ahead, challenges yet to face, but the night felt lighter. She had confronted the past and reclaimed a part of her life that had long been missing. "I'm not going anywhere," Jack promised, putting an arm around her shoulders. "This is just the beginning for both of us." As Maria walked out of the cafe hand in hand with Jack, the future suddenly sparkled with possibility. They weren't just facing the storm, they were going to fight back together. Every shared moment, every shared challenge ahead, was a step toward grounding her roots and embracing the life she deserved, one filled with hope, love, and a secure future for Alex. The past would no longer mold her. The shadows would lose their grip. With each stride, she felt the weight of fear lift, replaced instead by an unwavering belief in their shared journey. Together, they would flourish, ready to face whatever lay beyond. And as they stepped into the night, she knew one thing for certain. This wasn't just her fight anymore. It was their fight. They were ready to forge a new path, and it shone brightly ahead. So Maria marched forward, fiercely and bravely, armed with her hope and Jack's unwavering support as she embraced the promise of a brighter tomorrow. Now it's your turn to act. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories filled with inspiration and transformation. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your love. This is the moment to make your voice heard. Comment your reactions and feelings about this ending. Tell us how you felt about Maria's powerful journey. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this incredible transformation.